Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you can join me. Oh, almost there. Today I am continuing on from Kaupanger, and I hope I got that right, towards Lærdal, and beginning there and travelling through where the red pointer is to there is the longest tunnel in the world. I can't believe that it's actually, the route is working out as well as it is. But I'm going to be continuing on to Hull and Geilo, hopefully, which is where I'm planning on finding accommodation. So the journey continues. I love this. I had to show you a little bit of this because this is like basically how they shift the sheep is over the road, but it's this little guy. I mean, I didn't want to scare him, but he was so cute and doing a wonderful job as far as I could see. Now heading down towards the E16, and I need to join that road to get to the tunnel. It's quite exciting, really. I mean, to be honest, I've been through hundreds of tunnels already, so I'm kind of not sure what this one has in store for me. Should be interesting. Yes, it's good to lose one. And I actually, looking to the left there, I actually thought he was going to replace, that other bus was going to replace. But it didn't, thankfully. Yeah, heading towards Lærdal? I'm sure someone will correct the way I am pronouncing some of these words in the comments. And I don't mind, actually, because it's the only way to learn, really, isn't it? Weather's being a little strange today. It's not as bad as I've had. It is still dry at the moment, threatening to rain. So it's not actually too bad that I'm about to go into the tunnel. And I looked down and suddenly realised that the camera wasn't on at the beginning. Yeah, this tunnel is 24 kilometres long. That's approximately 15 miles, which is a long time. It's a long time to be in a tunnel. And it's a pretty dark one, to be honest. I think I was expecting something a little more modern. This being on a main road and being a recently built tunnel, I think I was just expecting something a little bit more modern. I think that's it. Saying that, I was riding through this tunnel in August of 24, and I believe at the beginning of 25 they are starting to work on it again. And it has taken a long time to get this far. Apparently they started work on this tunnel in 1995. And it's taken until now to get it open. So that kind of gives you an idea of what a feat it is, really, to have done this. Saying that, they've done it for a reason, and that is that it connects then, you can get easily to Bergen or Oslo without having to go over the water. I believe that's the reason for the tunnel. And it is, I mean, it's an interesting tunnel to ride through. Those caves that you see now and again are meant as stopping places. There are white ones and there are coloured ones, and they have different kind of uses. It's a shame actually that I didn't think of that or actually realise that that's what the point was. Apparently it's supposed to give you respite, and these stripes going across the floor, I'm not sure about what all that's about. Why would you need stripes coming out of a tunnel? Maybe it's something to do with the weather. Maybe someone can enlighten me. So now I will be now out of that tunnel anyway. There are more to come. I'm now heading down towards Hull, and Geilo. So to stay on my mental schedule, the idea is to get the other side of Oslo in the next couple of days and closer to the Swedish border. So I will be stopping hopefully close to Geilo tonight, and tomorrow close to the Swedish border. That's the kind of mental plan anyway. You know, anything can change, but that's the idea I have in my head. So this is an area, again, for the first time. I'm seeing all this for the first time, and it is pretty. I mean, look at that. You can't really describe it. I'll tell you what is good. It is nice to be so close. Normally, you know, like this, you're on a bridge or you have a little pull-in point, but the distance between where you're actually pulled in and where that river is usually a little bit further. So yeah, it's nice to be able to pull in with the river right next to you. So yeah, it's nice. Another element. It looks so grey, doesn't it? It's such a shame, again, that the sun is not shining at the moment. Although I do have the feeling it's not cold. It's not as cold as it was the other day, anyway. It's still giving us the views that I was hoping for, but what a difference it would have made if the sun was shining. Now look at that. Look at the colour of the water. Oh, it's like that sort of Caribbean blue. Yeah, the temperature's a little bit different though, I can assure you. I've tested it a couple of times. Still, the route is not disappointing. I mean, look at this. This almost has Lofoten overtones. It's probably because I'm seeing little beaches now and again, which kind of adds to the landscape. Still. So the route is taking me higher, gradually. It's a slow process, but we are climbing. I mean, it's a slightly different landscape. That's the funny thing about, I suppose it's the same in all countries, isn't it? There are still high places and the stone changes, the colours and the landscape. There aren't so many trees up here. It's probably because it's rocky, more rocky than perhaps in other areas. But I mean, look at it. Look at the shapes and the forms. And always interests me. Just, I suppose, it's from the arty point of view. You know, brave souls. It's good to see that I'm not the only nutter on the road in these conditions. It's because I'm getting higher. I am going to have to go across the mountains just a little bit, or across. It's still through. I think that's potentially why it's not as cold. Yeah, and that temperature's dropped again. Yeah, still climbing. I think it's actually, I know that this is a relatively short part of this trip. The mountain bit here it's a relatively short distance. Bit of wishful thinking as well, actually. It's probably because the weather's not great. Up among the snow poles again. Absolutely gorgeous. If the sun was shining, just if the sun was shining, it's a shame. Still, I can't change that. I'm looking forward to perhaps the other side of this, because the weather was looking better, potentially better anyway. I had to do it. You know, they're all sat there in the cosy, in the warm probably, and what am I doing? Careering through the rain again. I am totally soaked, but again, like I said, it's not as bad as it was This is better. It's warmer. It's just as beautiful. It's just not as cold, and I think it's probably because it's not as much wind. Look at this. Look at this sign. Do you know what? I thought it was so artistic. I thought those were trees at the bottom of that sign. And then it dawns on you, it's rocks, falling rocks. Look at this. See, the rocks at the bottom here look like they've been there a little bit longer than the rocks at the top. And looking at the extremities of the environment, just for a second, there are literally, look at that bomb. There are literally rocks hanging over your head. I'm sure it's safe-ish, but with all the rain that we've had and the extremes in the weather, the last actually couple of years, it almost makes you wonder, look at the size of that. Can you imagine a rock that size coming down? I suppose it wouldn't make a difference really, because if it did happen, you probably wouldn't be around to have to think about it anyway. Something like that, it's going to be deadly, isn't it? You wouldn't hear it coming or see it coming, it just falls. Ugh, don't even want to think about it. These roads are very narrow, very narrow. If you look in the distance with those cars coming down, I'm thinking some of these roads are so narrow, you can't guarantee there's going to be room for both of you to pass. And that's the reason that they put in these little in-ham, or, these little widenings of the road, purely because you can't pass everywhere. And I come from a culture in England of country lane driving. And there, you really, it's like, okay, who's driven the furthest? Who's ridden the furthest? Who's driven the furthest? And the one that hasn't has to go back, basically reverse out, or create a place for the other guy to pass. It's just the way it is. This is another tunnel on the route. And it's about to get quite interesting, because again, this is a very typical Norwegian tunnel, chipped out of the rock with a few lights as an afterthought, but still very dark. Very dark. It's not the kind of place you want to break down, This one I think was around 500 meters. It's not that far. But I can imagine if you were in the dark, suddenly had an alternator problem or something like that, where your car no longer is producing light, I think it would scare me to death. And this is really a place that you know the saying, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Well, you kind of hope that the light that you're seeing at the end of the tunnel now is actually going to be open air and not another car coming towards you, because I can just imagine that there could be quite scary situations in some of these tunnels. And the temperature, we'll talk about that in a second. So the nice thing is you never quite know what you're going to get at the end of any of these tunnels. It is seriously a surprise every single time. What I wanted to mention is I'm going to have to bleep out the next little piece. So, beep, 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 beep. Yes, just in case there are any children that are within earshot. I just got soaked. It didn't even look like there was any water on the road, more than any other place, but obviously it accumulated. That was pointer. So this little place, look, I am about to go through this tunnel system. And again, it looks like this. What I wanted to say about the temperatures in these tunnels, it varies enormously. Some of the longer like for instance, in the Lærdaltunnelen, the longest tunnel, that temperature, when you first went into the tunnel, it was just like normal air temperature outside, pretty much regulated, I thought. At certain points of that tunnel, it started to get really cold, and in other places, like an oven. So that was quite an extreme difference. look, this is another example of what I was talking about. They've given me the space to let him pass. So then you know that the road is too narrow for 2 cars. You know, I think that they're quite proud of any road that is wide enough to take 2 lanes. See, here we go again. We are going into now that tunnel system that I just showed you. At least this one's painted white. I think that makes a difference to the light. There don't appear to be more lights in this tunnel than there were in the others. But this is going round and round and round and round in circles. I didn't see a corkscrew in that diagram anyway, and the route. This is a bit like going around in a multi-storey car park. Quite a different sensation completely. But still travelling up. Still going up. Still going up and climbing. And it could be just me, but I don't remember seeing a croc 1 and 2. Maybe there isn't, or maybe that means something else. It's just a name. I don't know. So now I'm in the spiral again, still climbing. Now going in the other direction. I suppose that kills the boredom. And again, painted white on the inside. I think that's what's making the difference to the light. It doesn't feel so claustrophobic. I think that's the word I'm looking for, although I don't suffer from claustrophobia. I can imagine that somebody that is a little panicky like that would perhaps not be quite as at ease in this little section of the road. However, it is only a small section of the road, and it is all part of the experience. So I'm still glad that this is part of the experience, because it's the first time I've had a tunnel system like this anyway so far in Norway. And it is nice to stop every now and again. What a place. I mean, if I stopped at every single waterfall, it is tempting because they're all absolutely beautiful, you know, and coming from Holland and being surrounded by mountains all the time for the last pretty much month, seeing all those waterfalls, it is so tempting to stop. You know, Holland is so flat. There is virtually no moving water anywhere unless it's being pumped. And to be surrounded constantly by the beauty of the whole country. There hasn't been a section of the country that I've ridden through so far that has been a disaster, you know, or somewhere where there has been, you know, like a deserted area or something. It's all gorgeous. It's all absolutely beautiful, all well cared for. It's clean. The roads are in great condition. The views are spectacular. Yeah, the weather's questionable, but, you know, the last couple of years, the weather's been pretty questionable everywhere. And I think that's just the way it is. You know, what I've been trying to show you is what you're going to see from the road. And, I mean, look at that. Look at that. It almost gives me, like, Indonesian vibes. I mean, I know this is the traditional shape that the churches were built in dating all the way back to Viking times. I know that. It's just funny to see a version of like a red painted house, but then it's a church and like that. See, here we go. Only 10 kilometres to go. So since the tunnel, literally, it's been like a 90 kilometre ride. And so this should have given you quite a good idea of what you're going to see in that 90 kilometres if you decide to take that route. So there we go. Borgund is where the Viking church is, and Highland Lodge is where I stayed for just one night in Geilo. And now I am heading, hopefully, with weather like this, the rest of today it would be great. This was a surprise, to be honest. You never quite know. It's like the chocolate box line in Forrest Gump, isn't it? You never know what you're going to get. Life is like a chocolate box. And look at this. What a difference a day can make. Yes, sun. I can't believe my luck. Look at the smile. It's just the way it is, you know, knowing what the weather has been like the last few riding days, and then to be riding in this. Look at the difference it makes. Look at that sun. Oh, the warmth, the dryness of it all. It just feels like a luxury. You have to have bad days to appreciate these days, and that's the only way you can think about it, because if you were scared of rainy days you wouldn't come to Norway. Simple. It's known for its changeable weather. And I now seem to have developed a squeak that wasn't there yesterday. Whenever I slow down, I have a squeak. It could be brake pads, but not sure. Possibly discs. See, there's an awful lot of stone dust here. It could be actually any number of things. Gorgeous, look at that. Those cats, they've got the best restaurant in the house. Absolutely brilliant. So good to see. And let's hope we continue to see those kind of images for a very, very, very long time. So lovely to have the sun. You know, it's not so dramatic. The landscape is perhaps not so dramatic here, but it's just as beautiful. You know, just to be seeing the blue sky, it really does. It feels like such a luxury. And I thought that was a cattle grid. Fooled you. Still, it made me slow down. Huh. Maybe there's method in the madness. This is basically the route I will be taking to get to the next and actually my last accommodation in Norway before going over the border to Sweden. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time, and I hope you join me again and follow my tour through Sweden. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you the next time. Bye for now. Bye.